welcome. So today I want to try using these eyeshadow type pigments around the edges of the coaster. So these are the colors I'm going to use, and I am just going to use a normal eyeshadow type dauber to put that on just the edges of the coaster mold. This mold has an effect on the sides that I want to try to highlight. So I'm just going to use one color for each of those. So those four colors will be used on the entire mold. So silver, gold, the pinkish color, and then the bluish color. But the real thing that I want to try to accomplish today isn't so much this eyeshadow pigment. It's more, I have actually now seen videos where people have used these rubber stamps, but I wanted to try it myself. So I am going to try putting these rubber stamps into the coaster mold. I have several different types that I wanted to try. I did try to keep them, at least in a shape that would fit within the mold that I'm doing, and that would, make sense with the mold. So the first one I'm going to put in is this flower rubber stamp. And what's important when you do this for it to actually work as an inlay is that once you actually start to place this on the mold, you need to make sure that it's pressed down very firmly. And I'll zoom in so you can see what I mean. When you do it, you don't want to see anything under the mold. So when you first put it down, you'll see that little bit of discoloration. And then as you press on it, it should turn matte white to match the mold. And that's when you'll know that you actually have it adhered. If you don't adhere it properly, you're going to get resin underneath, and then it'll be very difficult for you to get that back out once you're finished. So once I placed those, then I just mixed up about 7 ounces of resin, just clear, and I poured that in over each of the rubber stamps. And then I went back in over it with this popsicle stick just to make sure that I pushed the resin into the mold to get all of the different crevices so that detail will show up. Then I spritz it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and allowed that to cure. Now, as opposed to just leaving this clear, I went ahead and I picked different glitters that would actually match the colors that I had used around the edges. So I have teal, fairy dust, silver, and gold. And then I just mixed that with a little bit of resin with a lot of the glitter, and then poured that over to cover the back of each of the coasters, and I allowed that to cure per the manufacturer's instructions. And once they were cured, now able to demold. And when you after you demold these and you start to go to take out the rubber stamps, it can be a little difficult, but you could try using like some tweezers or something if you have difficulty getting that first grab. But once you get that first grab, you should have no problem whatsoever getting that out. And the detail is impeccable that comes out from that rubber stamp onto the resin, as you can see here. So it really actually works out very well. And it's a really good thing to know, because now, as opposed to having to make your own inlays or purchase them, which they're very expensive as opposed to a rubber stamp, any rubber stamp you can actually place into the mold and you will be able to pick up that same detail that you have on that rubber stamp. And I did try different size ones, so this is a much larger one, just to make sure that it would actually work, and each of them really did pick up the colors. Pick up the detail perfectly. And here's that final one, which I didn't even realize when I put this down that it had those lines on the leaves. So it's very interesting just how much detail that actually picks up. So I want to show you a close-up around the edges as well. Those were the colors that I had placed around the edges, and that's why I picked the corresponding glitters that I did so that they would actually match to the sides. And even though I only used a very small layer, it's amazing how much color that gave. And then just to make sure that you could actually see the detail that I was talking about, I just chose some metallic paint pens and went around each of the inlays that I had done, or rubber stamps, and just painted those in so that you could really actually see that fine detail of the inlay rubber stamp that I used, and just again try to pick colors that corresponded to the colors that I had used on the sides or on the back. And that was it. I was done. But the great thing about this is now we know that I can use, or anyone can use, rubber stamps as inlays in your resin projects, and it actually leaves you to so many limitless possibilities. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and press the bell to be alerted to future videos.